Peterson and his heartbeats. It's 9:30. This is my story on UCB2. Time for us to listen into Sally's story.
To work on a cruise ship, and Glenn was one of the first people I met, and we hit it off. We were really, really good friends. There was no romantic inclination at all, and I really loved him as a friend. The one thing that I recognised within him, though, that he used the Lord's name in vain quite a bit, and it was quite startling really how much he used it. But needless to say, we got on like a house on fire. We had lots of fun, but he didn't know God. I got transferred off the ship to the Caribbean, which was very, very good. We got more money, and obviously lots of sun all the time. So I was apart from Glenn. And then we spoke on the phone when I got off at the Christmas. He'd given it all up. He hated it. And because he'd had the hard slog in the Med and all around that area. And I said, I'd just been posted to another ship after my break at Christmas. Would you fancy trying it? Why don't you? It's worth it. The Caribbean is a totally different place. It's a lot freer. You get more money. And you're in the sun all the time. It's quite fun. Bearing in mind, at this stage, we were still just good friends. There was no romance at all. Anyway, so we did. He came out. We got on like a house on fire. We spent all our time together. And eventually, a couple of months later, we did get together. We just said, right, why not? And we had a great time. But there was something about him straight away that I had to tell him, basically, having explained that living on a ship was free living and hedonistic kind of life, I had to tell him that I wasn't like that. I didn't want to do anything like that. I told him that I love God. It was a little bit backslidden, but I knew in my heart that I didn't want to do that. I wanted to wait until I was married. Bearing in mind at this stage I was 25 and we didn't get married till I was 32. So I expressed that, and something within him at that time, now looking back and now we can express it, he thought, that's strange. Why not? Why can't you do things like that? Why can't you just be free and do whatever you want to do? And there's something different about this girl. Then we split. He went home, and then he realised that he did love me. We really wanted to be together. So we got back together as soon as I got off, and we went travelling for 5 weeks in France. Not something to do when you're not a close relationship anyway, and only brand new. We were in a tent, sharing a tent as well, which wasn't healthy when didn't want things to go a certain way. And there was a lot of tension that built. And to cut a long story short, we became very volatile. I was battling with who I wanted to be. I wanted to be this Christian girl with great morals and wait till I was married. At the same time, I loved this man. And so it was a real struggle. So through that, it manifested. We used to just fight all the time and it became quite difficult. But I held on because I loved him. I didn't want to let go. And it was very uncomfortable, very uncomfortable. And then eventually we got off ships. He went to work up in Hull as a photography assistant with a big caravan shoot. Following year, they made him a photographer. They needed someone else as an assistant the following year. And I was gone back home after working on ships, and I was living and working with my family. And there was an opportunity. He was actually working with a photographer who was a Christian. And he said to him, would your girlfriend like to come up and be an assistant? She can come and live with me and my wife and my little boy. She can live in our attic and she can pay a lot less rent. I thought, well, okay, it's the make or break of our relationship. But unbeknown to me, that family would then tell me that I had to leave Glenn because I was desperately wanting this relationship, but at the same time, again, that battle was still going on, and we still weren't comfortable. We weren't happy together, and I couldn't see that. And I was getting angry with the whole thing, and it was all coming out. And the whole time I was giving him mixed messages and really not showing him the way of Christ and how Christ lived in someone's life. And I felt shamed. So that shame made me angry, and I'd just take it out on him. And it must have been very confusing for him at the time. But in the end, someone said, why don't you talk to our vicar? Now, our vicar was absolutely lovely, but I just didn't think he'd be interested, or, I just didn't feel I could. So then I thought, no, do you know what? I'm going to ring him. Just out of the blue, I rang him, and he said, he was so lovely. He was, and he just said, so, okay, what's wrong with you? Sort of thing. It was so lovely, the way you said it. And I just went, oh, you are so lovely. Thank you. And I explained the situation, and all he said was, Sally, I don't think it's a good idea. But all I can say to you, Jesus has the victory. And that's all he said. And that was it. My heart, I just went, it's over to you, God. You are more important to me than Glenn. I have to let him go. So it broke my heart totally. And I broke his heart too, because he was holding on the whole time. He's just wanting things to be normal. And so I told him, and I told him in a loving way that I loved him very much, but to live as a Christian, I wanted to live and share my faith, and it was a huge part of me that I couldn't live without any longer. I couldn't live on the fence any longer. I needed to give my whole soul, my whole self to God, and if that meant giving him up, then that was the case. And I was really sorry that I'd strung him along, but hoped he would meet someone and be really happy. The whole time dying inside because I didn't want him to be happy with anyone else, but I did, because I just thought, well, I can't have you. I want you to have someone who will love you very much, because you're just lovely. Again, to add another jolt, he'd bought 2 kittens that we both adored, and we loved them like little babies. They were so cute and very much part of our lives. And the very next day, he wrote a letter to God. This is a man who didn't know God. He used his name in vain all the time. And he wrote a letter to God and said, you have to be real. There has to be something real for my girlfriend to leave me alone and leave our kittens, because she loves those kittens so much. And he knew that I was devastated, and he saw the heartbreak and torment within me, that he said he was willing to find him, and please can he show him to him. And that week he went out and bought a Bible. He sat and read it. He rang me in tears, said that he knew that God was real and that he was going to find out. I was like completely blown away within a day, within a week. It was as though God was saying, you're going to have him back, but you have to wait a bit. Yeah. He's mine now. Just let him be. And so we did. Yeah. So it was a long-winded thing, and I did. I absolutely fully let go. And there was a girl that was on the scene that really wanted me out the picture, sort of thing, and I hated it. It was hard, but I had to stand back and let that be. I then met him on a couple of occasions where we met with our Bibles, and he read things out to me, just sobbing he was. And then he played me a song by Robbie Williams, and it was called Love Calling Earth. And he said, I know this sounds stupid. He says, and I know he's singing, this is love calling earth, but all I can hear is, this is God calling earth. Do you know how much it hurts? And it was him, he felt that was God saying, I love you so much, I died for you. And oh my goodness, I could cry now because it was so amazing. I just couldn't believe it was coming out of his mouth. And I was so overwhelmed that we just sat and sobbed, the pair of us. And I just went, Glenn, this is just amazing that God has found you. And I truly believe God wanted you the moment I met you. And that's not him manipulating you, that's just him loving you. And that's amazing.
Wow.
But if it means that we're not together, that's fine. You found God. That's brilliant. But lo and behold, later on, we started meeting a little bit more, reading our Bibles, praying together. And then he made up his mind in November. I had no idea that he was going to ask me to marry him. And then all my friends from my home group who had become our best friends, and also one of my best friends, they're an amazing couple. There were two amazing couples in our lives at the time. I have so many, but Pete and Julie and George and Savvy, if you listen to this, then you were very much huge in our lives. In that George, Savvy's husband, discipled Glenn and helped him come to know Christ in a really real way. And they knew all about the fact that he was going to ask me to marry him. Obviously, in my head, I still didn't think, that was it. I wasn't going to get him back. But at the same time, I just thought, he's got to know God. Am I allowed to have him back in my life? Is it okay? Yeah. But then when he asked, it was them that reassured me, that said, this is God giving him back to you. And of course, I said yes. It was New Year's Eve, and oh my goodness, I was just so blown away. I just couldn't believe it. And quickly running back to the August of that was the New Year. Running back to the August, I lost my job on the 16th of August. I didn't have Glenn in my life, and I was working as a youth leader at the time, and I was just a complete fish out of water. I really struggled with it. But I went on a youth conference thing with singing and stuff. It was incredible. And I watched all these teenagers, all these young people giving their lives to Christ and having experiences with the Spirit. And I never really had that. Not that I've ever been craving feelings, because I know loving and living with God is not about feelings. It's just learning to live with freedom and being at peace with yourself, with God, and living your life with God. But at the same time, I was like, I'd really like to have a gift that's tangible, like speaking in tongues or something like that. And I actually shouted at God, and I feel terrible, but I just went, what is wrong with me? Why can't I do that? There's all these kids around me. What is wrong with me? I've really messed up. I've given my life to you, God. Why? Why can I not have anything? But I was just so focused on myself. I wasn't focused on God. I was still licking my wounds, still looking after myself. But I broke down and I said, I was so sorry that I'd been so selfish. It was all about me and Glenn and all this, that I loved him, God, very much. And I was really sorry that I truly wanted to give everything to him. And nothing happened. Nothing else happened. And I just thought, okay, right, whatever. And I went home and I opened the door of my bedroom and I started speaking in tongues. And it was the most unbelievable experience ever. Wow. I started laughing and I was crying. I felt hugged. I felt warm. It was just amazing. And then I stopped, and then I started again. And it is a gift that I've been able to use on numerous occasions for other people mainly. And it is an amazing gift, and I thank God for it many times.
So you got married.
Oh, yes,
and
sorry.
How long have you been married for now?
We've been married for 15 years.
So beautiful. Wow. Sally, I want to play a song for you. What song do you want me to play for you?
I have recently come to know the group for King and Country. I went to a big church day out in the north and I saw them live and I just thought they were incredible. And I've since listen to their interviews about their lives, their testimonies, and the reasons behind their songs and their passion behind everything. And they're just such real people, part of an amazing family that have been through so much, and their songs are so real and just have so much to them. They've made me cry, they've made me laugh, and I just think one of their latest songs is called God Only Knows, and it really encompasses that unbelievable, as Joel Smallbone puts it, that superhuman love of all loves, that man, he said, man, there are only things that God only knows. People can know about you and get to know you, but nobody ever really truly knows you, but God does. And all the painful bits in between the smiles and the laughs, he knows everything and why you are who you are and why you are what you are. And so this song, I think, encompasses, and hopefully does for other people, to truly get to the nitty-gritty that God only knows, and he loves you with this all-encompassing love, that everything in your life is important to him.
Sally, thank you so much for sharing your story. Here's your song for King and Country, and God Only Knows.
Thank you, Ruth.
Show up while you're dreaming. Nobody sees you. Nobody will believe you. And every day you try to pick up all the pieces, all the memories, they somehow never leave you. Nobody sees you. Nobody will believe you. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows how it's killing you, but there's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you, but God only knows the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows. You keep a cover over every single secret, so afraid if someone saw them they would leave. But somebody sees you. Somebody will never leave you. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows how it's killing you, but there's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you, but God only knows the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows. For the lonely, for the ashamed, the misunderstood and the ones to blame. What if we could start over? We could start over. We could start over. Oh, for the lonely, for the ashamed, the misunderstood and the ones to blame. What if we could start over? We could start over. We could start over. There's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you, but God only knows the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows how to break through. God only knows the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows.
Off their brand new album called Burn the Ships, it's for King and Country and God